I think the story that comes to mind for me, and I share this even though it has nothing to do with the organization that I work for or work and jobs as it's traditionally defined, because I think this type of story is actually what is now starting to define work far more than we ever thought it would. So my daughter wakes up and she is in her very first year of school. And her first year of school has been so far completely virtual, all online, all on a computer. And this has been very strange for her and very strange for me, as it's strange for many young people who are having to navigate the move to virtual school. But there was one day where she was attending class and she just burst into tears. She burst into tears and she started crying and telling me, Mom, I just don't know. I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. This is she's overwhelming, but she said, it's just so much. It's so much. And it's hard. It's really hard. And I just took her into my arms and I told her, I know, I don't know how to help you, but I know that it's really hard. And I know that right now, like, we just need to sort of be with that. And so to be able to stop in a moment and help her redirect that she was not, it was not her fault, that there was nothing wrong with her, that there was nothing wrong with the situation, but it's just what was, and that she was going to be okay, and we were going to be okay, and we were going to find a way through. So I don't think I realized, that breakdown, that moment for my daughter, that breakdown would be some kind of a break open or a breakthrough for us. But I think that's actually a perfect parallel for the story of the organization where I work, where we have had over these last couple of years, and this last year in particular of 2020, so many breakdowns and break opens that I think are the beginnings of bearing witness to what needs to be seen and held so that we can then break through to the other side. I'm not a traditionally trained human resources professional. I came up through our organization leading one of our field sites. And so as I was stepping into this position, it was really with the charge and the mandate from our CEO to reinvent our organizational culture. And while I didn't know a whole lot about traditional HR, I think what I did feel deeply passionate about was that people make our mission happen. And so I spent these 3 months really, as I prepared for the transition, just listening to the people in our organization, understanding their needs, understanding their concerns, understanding the issues that they saw. And through that time of listening to other people, I think I began listening a little bit more to myself and to my heart. And so in this dream phase, I started writing pages and pages of what the vision I had was, what the strategy I wanted to put in place was. And there were things that I could see clearly, things I couldn't see clearly. And it was in one of those it was almost like a frenzy. When you're in that deep state of flow where everything is just moving, I was writing at 3 a.m. what the dreams I had for our organization, what they were. And that's what prompted me to research Being at Full Potential and then to reach out to you. It was in one of those states. And I remember my very first conversation with Mark. I just knew there was something like a deep knowing. It was something that I could feel, not something I could explain, that this was the direction we needed to move, that you all were the partners to help us create some kind of opening, some kind of clearing for the vision to take root. So one of the things that we did as a team very early on after our restructure was to make a statement to say, this is who we've been being. It's like a from to, if you can imagine. This is who we've been being, and this is who we commit to be moving forward. And in the creation of that statement, it was basically a declaration. This is who we commit to being moving forward, and who we need to be moving forward is collaborative and visionary and powerful partners at all levels, who are then able to give our full gifts to the organization that we serve. We had been being very siloed, as you said, very reactive, and that's not the fullest expression of our leadership, individually nor collectively. So that exercise really helped us clarify, and we start our meetings now, grounding in that. Who do we need to be in this engagement, in these decisions, in our leadership in this moment. And so I think I realized that while there was significant work to do to support our organization, I realized that the first step of transformation needed to be within us. It needed to start at the level of self, ripple out to our leadership team, ripple out to our full team, ripple out to the entire organization.
I'm wondering about how you spread this out in the organization. You know, how do you actually change the culture in your organization beyond the people team, the 81 person people team that we worked with last January?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you there's like a five-step plan, but I think what I've come to find is that there are micro moments where I find the ripple happens. So if I show up to a leadership team meeting with my team, every moment in that engagement is a chance to create the type of energy that we want to ripple out in the organization. You know, if we show up fractured, if we show up siloed, if we show up beaten down by the challenges that we face, that then becomes the energy that the rest of the team sees and observes, and that is the thing that radiates. But if we make a choice to switch from that to being a collective, it's in that micro moment of the choice that we then get a different type of energy. And when we have a different energy, we get a different type of outcome. I think one choice I did make that has turned into a strategy is I've decided to document this journey in a very public way. So one of the things that I do is I basically write almost daily for our employees, you know, what this journey of organizational reinvention looks like and what it means for me at the level of self and leadership, what it means for us and some of the decisions that we're making as a senior team. And that opening up of the journey, I think, has come to be, while it wasn't a known strategy to me at the outset, has come to be something I've realized there are many lessons to mine. One of the things that I might say to my CEO is, you know, let's take time to really listen and make sure that everyone's voices are heard, because our people are hurting. Our people need healing. That may make no sense to her unless I'm able to say, let's think about what that means for our children. Our children right now in our classrooms in the world of education are hurting and are in need of healing, and we need to be listening to them. And so if we want to listen to our children, we need to model that at all levels of the organization. In our very first partnered gathering with Being at Full Potential with my small leadership team, one of the things that was unearthed in that space was the role of diversity, inclusion, and or lack of inclusion for people of different backgrounds. And this is a very, very important commitment that we have as an organization at Teach for America, to truly center diversity, equity, and inclusiveness in our work, because the children that we serve are often children from low-income communities and children of color. And so understanding those systemic inequities is part of our core work and how we try to develop our leaders ourselves, but also the leaders that we send into classrooms who we want to change the system, because they need to understand where the system comes from. Part of what has been illuminated for us in 2020 as an organization, and I think again, this was like, it felt like a disorienting, disruptive moment, was there was a time over the course of this summer where our staff members across the country really united to say to our upper management, hey, we want to be having this conversation. We want something different. This pain is under the surface. We see it out there in the news in our country. We see it in the classrooms where we work, and we see it in our own organization and in ourselves. And that was a huge call to action for our CEO, for our management team to say, actually, pause. We cannot continue on with business as usual with the same types of actions. This is something we need to pause, slow down, listen, learn, and find a way through this that is not the same old traditional, well, here's the 5-step action plan and here's how we're going to move it forward over the next 2 weeks. This is a long-term conversation that needs to be had. And our staff members were organizing and saying to us, we want to be having this conversation. I'd love to share a story with you where I was just completely and utterly afraid. And for some reason, this story comes to mind as just another opportunity to choose, building off of the comment you just made. Over the course of the summer, as we were engaging in a ton of just COVID response, as many organizations have been, our organization too was responding to the unknowns of COVID-19. And so we made a courageous choice as a senior team to reduce our expenses in anticipation of our funding potentially dropping. And this was a very scary choice because it required that we reduce our personnel. And the call then fell to me as our chief people officer to figure out how I would help lead our organization, how we, our team, would lead our organization through a downsizing. And this to me was one of my hardest moments, because to me it felt like it was running contrary to what I wanted to be true about human potential. I was so afraid that we were going to let people down, that if we had to let people go, if people needed to leave our organization, that it would be just the worst case scenario. And I remember thinking, this is just the time for humanity, right? Where I was either going to choose to be like, let the vision go and be deflated and say, okay, well, I guess this is the point where we give up on what we're trying to do because we've lost the direction. Or perhaps this is the time where the direction has the opportunity to accelerate. I'm not going to react to these circumstances. I'm not going to say, okay, our funding is lower, so let me react from the fear. But how do I choose to stand in the place of what can be? And we're going to build from there. That is where I decided we're going to not restructure our team. We're going to create a new team. We're going to become the people team. We will create an entirely new structure that accompanies our vision. And this will be the chance where the reinvention that we've been talking about and the transformation we've been talking about is actually modeled out in the structure that we have. And so I have to tell you, like, through that time, there were so many moments of fear. I remember I had to sit in conversation where I had to tell people, I'm sorry, but your job is going to be out of our new structure. We won't be able to keep you on our team. And I'll never forget the responses I got from people saying, no, I just believe in where you're going. Like, I believe in the vision. And even as people were, hearing very hard news for them, they say, I understand, I get it. And I believe, keep going.